and welcome to the Cityline Book Club. So, new year, brand new book club set. I think we should give a little shout out to Amber Rose, who designed it. Yes, Amber Rose. Thank you so much for that. It looks fantastic. So, the latest book we've read is Come Thou Tortoise by Jessica Grant. I think we all loved it. So, first, let's just jump into the questions. What were your impressions of the book? Did you like it?
So I did like it. I did like the book, but I needed a little bit of help. And I find that maybe I can be a little bit too literal and a little bit too earnest, and there's a lot of mystery involved with this book. The characters, nothing is as it seems. There are so many mysteries to be uncovered, and I felt like while at the end of the book I had a good feeling, during the book it wasn't a book I ran home to keep reading. It wasn't until the end where I got really invested, and I know, Marilyn, it was your suggestion, and trust me, I'm happy. I'm a better person for having read it, and I appreciate it so much more after speaking with you guys about it, because there was a lot that was not said. But all in all, my impression of it is of a good read. I just needed a little help.
I really, really loved the book, and then there was a couple of points that I didn't really like the book. The lack of punctuation drove me insane. I had this with the Lisa Moore book. It was funny because then my daughter read the Lisa Moore book, and the first thing she said was, "What's with the punctuation?" That was just kind of got me. It took me a little while to get into it. Once I was into it, I was fine. And I loved the quirky characters. It's just every once in a while it was like, okay, that's enough, just a little less. But I really I loved all the characters. I found them so endearing. So I had a really, really love and just a little,
Go, Marilyn, go. Give me this thing, give me this thing, give me this thing. Okay, I adore this book, and I've actually lent it to so many of my girlfriends because I like to buy hard books and then share them with the people that I really love, and then we have our own conversation. Anyway, and I love the book because I do go with it. I mean, whatever I read, I just believe it, and I just go with it. And maybe that's because I'm an actress, and that, we're sort of taught to kind of just go with stuff, and maybe because of Second City, you just go with anything anyone gives you. And so there's this, and I love the lack of punctuation because it was like a script. It read like a movie script to me. And the whole backstory where you have to kind of invent things yourselves. And so I loved her voice, I loved her wisdom, and I love that she thought she was really smart, and it turned out she had a really low IQ. But I love that she had this different look at the world, and like, hang on, I've got my fingers held in things here. One of the things I love, that because remember she's writing that biography thing, she goes, here's something I've noticed about biographies. They all start off with a guy no one would write a biography about, and all the odds are against this guy's biography ever being written. I mean, seriously, I think that's hilarious, but really insightful too. So I just loved her voice, and I like the tortoise's voice too.
Yeah, I think Tracy wants to be her friend. And I think you all do. There's just something about Audrey that's just really, really endearing. That she's totally weird, and she's smart, and she's dumb all at the same time. And yeah, I mean, I love the book. I loved the quirkiness. I love the wordplay. I'm a big word nerd myself, so all the little wordplay and just Audrey oddly, and I just found that a lot of fun, and it charmed me, this book. And a tortoise is pretty fun, but we'll talk more about that.
A tortoise with an attitude.
That's right. I have to say, like Carolyn, and it was funny that you mentioned Lisa Moore's Caught and the punctuation. When I first picked up this book, probably about a year ago, maybe more, I picked it up, thought, okay, love the wordplay, love how clever it is, not into it right now, though. Read it over the holidays, where I really had some time to just sit down, and this was the same thing with Caught. I needed big chunks of time to just sit down with it, just fully get absorbed in Audrey's world, and doing that, by the end, I'm like, yes, I'm so glad I stuck with it. I loved it. I loved how it wrapped up. I loved just the outcome, and I just fell in love with Audrey as a character. So speaking of, I think Audrey Flowers, aka Audley, is one of the most interesting protagonists we've seen. Very, very curious person. What were your impressions of her? Did you like her as a narrator?
I wonder what Marilyn's going to say. I love her. I loved her because I'm kind of nuts too, and maybe that's why I kind of liked her a lot. And I do have run-on sentences, and I don't take any breaths, and so maybe I have a low IQ. Anyway, No, I loved her, but it was a really refreshing voice. And I really love books to read that are in first person because I like to become a character. And I think that's the actress roots in me. And that I didn't see myself playing her, but I heard her voice through me. And I love when that happens. So I got to be somebody different for the day.
I just thought of something I absolutely loved that I thought was really, really brilliant. I never got a physical description of her, except for her ponytail. Oh my gosh. As soon as you said refreshing, I was like, that's what I remember thinking all the way through. I don't know what you look like. I don't remember the last book I read where I didn't know what a character looked like, particularly a woman. And I think that is so refreshing, right?
And I didn't even notice because I became her. Yeah. But I had a vision of her in my head, like a clear, total vision. Enough so that I'm going to cast her. Yeah. I've got a movie all figured out, and we're going to buy the rights and become rich. Anyway.
Just the one thing I wanted to comment about Audrey, the one thing that I thought that was a really cool character trait that Jessica gave her, and I talked to her about this when I interviewed her earlier this week, which was that she's a leap lane, that she was born on a leap year. I think it just added a really extra element to the fact that she is an adult and a child, and I just thought that was really unique and interesting, and I just really liked that aspect, so I thought that was cool.
So I'm going to throw back to the whole idea of this book would make an excellent movie, we think. So any ideas on who we would cast? Who would we cast as the tortoise?
You know what? We were talking about this in the makeup this morning. I'm just hooked on Orphan Black, this sci-fi show, and the actress, I think her name is Tatiana, something or other.
Masley.
Yeah, she's genius, and I really see her physicality in my head. That's who she looked like, and I mean, because she plays 5 different characters in the show, she'd be genius in this. And if anyone steals her for this part, and I haven't got the rights, I'm suing.
What did you guys think about having a tortoise as one of the narrators? Did you like Winifred?
I loved Winifred. I loved the tortoise as a character. I loved the fact that she was so old and she had her own voice and her curmudgeonly, that's what I want to be. I want to be that type of old woman. I really liked the tortoise.
I loved Winifred as well. I was a little nervous on her first chapter. I thought, uh-oh, is this going to be too much tortoise? So then I got to know her. And don't you ask yourself that all the time when you open up a book? This is going to be too much. I got to know her, and I got to like her dry humor, the fact that she was so curmudgeonly, and I feel like there was just enough Winifred. You never got sick of it. You never thought it was overdone. She's fantastic. I wanted her to be her friend, too. I think she's great.
Yeah, I love that it never distracted you too much from the Audrey story, because I think sometimes we've talked about previous books we've read where it does kind of detract and you're like, okay, I forget where I am in that story. You're right, it was just enough. It was really, really humorous. It was nice little breaks from the Audrey story, but yeah, it absolutely worked.
This is probably another reason why I like the book, because we have a dog and we use her voice. And as Bailey's gotten older, she's become very bitter. And I'm telling you, a tortoise that drops an F-bomb, you gotta love that. Killed me when she swore. I was like, oh my God, so does Bailey.
Amazing. I love that. I think just to add to all that, I loved that that it was just such a different animal character, that usually when you have an animal in a book, it's like it's cute or it's sad or the animal dies at the end. Like it just, do you know what I mean? Like that's usually an animal in a book. So I just like that it was just a funny sidekick with its own life and its own world, and it was just there completely for comic relief and a totally different than any other animal character that I've seen in a book. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I mean, like, who has a tortoise? Yeah. Like, who has a tortoise?
Adventures with a tortoise.
Right.
Who goes on adventures with a tortoise?
Yeah.
Camping? I'm sorry.
Grand Canyon. They went all over the place. One thing I will add to that is that I actually needed Winifred because Audley isn't asking any of the right questions. Winifred was filling in a lot of blanks for me. So as a tool, she was necessary for me. So I liked Winifred a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so final question. Would you read another of Jessica Grant's books?
Absolutely.
And has she got another one? Because, yeah, I know I looked. And I can't, she doesn't have another one, does she?
She's working on one. She told me yesterday that she's working on one, and that it's nearing the end, but she wouldn't really tell me anything else about it yet. But there's one in the works, so stay tuned.
Yeah, as long as it's got crazy people on it, I'm in.
Oh, I totally am. I would absolutely read another book by her, for sure.
Yes, I would definitely read another book by her. It would be very interesting to see what the plot of this next book would be.
So thank you, everyone. Great conversation today. We hope you all at home read along with us for Come Thou Tortoise by Jessica Grant. And if you did, be sure to leave a comment at the bottom of this post for your chance to win a great prize pack from Random House. So thank you to Random House for that. And our next book club pick is The Wind is Not a River by Brian Payton. Be sure to join us. Thanks so much.